Today's learning target is I can find the circumference of circles. Our focus today is going to be on circles. So, we're going to be working on finding the circumference of circles. Now, when we talk about circumference, the circumference of a circle is the distance all the way around a circle. Now, there's a couple of other things we're going to take a look at here. This point right here shows us the center of the circle. Okay, we have a diameter, and a diameter is a line that goes from one end of the circle to the other through the center. Okay, we also have a radius, which is a line that goes from one end of the circle to the center. And then a chord right here is basically any line that connects two points on the circle. If you're somebody who gets radius and diameter confused, I always think of it this way, and this maybe is helpful to you, maybe not, but I always think of the diameter as a line that is done. It goes from one end, and it doesn't stop until it gets to the other end or it's done. And then that leaves me with the radius being the other line. Okay, diameter, done, they both start with D. So today, working with the circles, we're also going to be working with the Greek letter pi, which here's the symbol for it. Here's how it's spelled, okay, not like the pie that you eat, but the relationship or what the number pi means. I know some of you know that pi equals 3.1415, and it goes on and it does not repeat, but that number goes on forever. But here's what the number pi, where it actually comes from. If you take the circumference of any circle and you divide it by the diameter of that same circle, you're going to get the number pi, okay? And so it doesn't matter how big, how small our circle. If you take the circumference and divide it by the diameter, you'll get pi. Another way to look at that is you can find the circumference by using pi and timesing it by the diameter. So if I know the diameter of the circle and I times it by pi, 3.1415, I'll figure out the circumference. So I can find the circumference, capital C, the circumference is equal to pi times the diameter, or the circumference, distance around, is equal to the radius, which remember that's halfway through the circle, timesing it by 2 and pi, because 2 times the radius is just the diameter. Okay, so if I only know the radius, here's the formula I would use, 2 times pi times radius, 2 pi r, or if I know the diameter, pi times diameter. Let's take a look here at how we find the circumference then of a circle using that formula. Now we know our circumference is equal to pi times d, okay, or pi times 2r, 2 times the radius, but in this case, I know the diameter. I can see it right here. That's the line that's done. It's through there. So I'm going to use the circumference equals pi times the diameter. Now we'll be using a calculator for these problems today. So let me show you how that looks. So I use the calculator on my iPad, and you can see right here is the sign for pi. I also went on Google and saw if you just use the Google calculator, they also have a pi sign. So in this case here, I'm going to take pi, okay, right there, and I'm going to times it by the diameter. So I see my diameter is 3, so I'm going to take pi times 3 on my calculator. And once I did that on my calculator, here's the number I've got, but I can see that I'm rounding to the nearest tenth. So I'm taking a look at my tenths place, the number right next to it, the hundredths is 4. So the circumference in this is going to equal 9 and 4/10, and it's inches was my label. Let's take a look here how I'm going to find the circumference, the distance around this circle right here. Now I can see I'm given the radius, and it's 5.3 centimeters. So I'm going to use my formula for finding the circumference, and I know that circumference is going to be 2 times pi times the radius. It wouldn't matter what order I did it in. I could do 2 times the radius times pi, right? Because I'm multiplying, I can multiply in any order. So I'm going to do 2 times pi times 5.3 on my calculator. Once I do that on my calculator, here's what I'm given here. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, just like before. There's my tenths. I look at the number next to it in the hundredths place, and I can see that my circumference is going to equal 33.3 centimeters.